speak English.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome once again to the Fun Show here on Big TV. Have you picked a tune out on the Keurig keyboard over there, Michael? Sounds vaguely familiar. Name that tune, Susan.
I can't. I've heard it before, but I can't.
Name that tune, Michael Salad.
If you were a tulip
If you were a tulip,
and I was
a rose. I don't know
that's
what was
it.
that.
That's it. That's the song.
This sounds like a
it's a-
Easter parade song.
Well, something
or
like Mother's Day. It could be.
Mother's Day. The man wanted to get a mention of Mother's Day in, and he succeeded in doing it. We hope you all had a pleasant Mother's Day, particularly the mothers. One of the few things we can be sure of in this world is that everyone had a mother.
Yesterday was Mother's Day is always Lilac Sunday at the Arb.
And do they? How often do they cooperate?
Well, every year they do. It's pretty.
There's no lilacs on my lilacs in my backyard,
That's
so I
because
don't
they're
know.
not at the Arboretum.
I see.
It's Lilac Sunday at the Arboretum.
They're on a different timer.
you go.
In the house.
The Arboretum installs a timer.
I
All
had-
right, dial up the crocuses. Let's dial up the tulips. Would be
I had.
lots of tulips in our neighborhood.
There's a lot of tulips. Oh boy. Well,
Anyway, this is the May 13th edition of the Fun Show here. Michael Salin is sitting opposite me. My name is Arch O'Reilly, not Archie. Arch
Archer.
O'Reilly.
Okay.
Although most of my friends are now saying how nice that the new child is named for me, but it's not
maybe.
the case. And sitting between us,
You don't have any red hair.
Huh?
You're not a ginger.
I'm not a ginger,
it could be a
is
ginger.
Susan Harrington, who is also not a ginger, but
I bet she has a lot of ginger, though. I say.
spice.
Moxie.
Spice.
Moxie. They don't. Nobody
Moxie.
knows what
I know.
Moxie is, except the crowd from my place.
It's still in the store.
I know.
It's still in the store.
how many years?
Probably not more than 70 miles from Boston, but it's still in the store.
Yeah, that's it. With paper
Which
straws.
makes me wonder, because at least in my opinion,
Right.
it's the most vile stuff I
Yeah,
ever
I don't
tasted in my
like
life. I mean, the toss-up is Moxie or Guinness.
Oh, okay. Well, I've never
Yeah.
even tasted Guinness.
It can
That's
cure a
funny,
lot
the
of things,
hotel-
Moxie, though.
I spent the last 5 days
No,
in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania,
with garlic.
the place that has decided that the anniversary of the revolution starts in 2026. I told many of them that there was a lot of revolution before 1776. And if they made me mad, I used my line, well, we did the grunt work, you did the paperwork.
Okay.
But
Well, you
in
did.
any case, one of the things I discovered down there is they put garlic in everything. They're the only place I found that they'd put garlic on the asparagus.
They have garlic chewing gum.
There is a thing called garlic
There
chewing
is,
gum. Yes,
yeah.
there is.
Well, Gilroy, California is the.
Oh yes, I won't go within 100 miles of there.
I mean, there I wouldn't be surprised about garlic gum and garlic popcorn.
Yeah, why do you put it on your nose?
A clip that wouldn't help.
No?
Philadelphia,
I
it
thought
was
they were known
amazing.
for cheesesteaks or something.
Cheesesteak.
Cheesecake
yeah, that's
with
the thing.
garlic.
Well, no, cheesesteak, and I now discovered that they really do have a fetish on their Philly cheesesteaks. That what they put on it is Cheese Whiz,
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I saw that.
and
yeah.
I had heard about that, and I now know for a fact it's disgusting.
What about what about that Philly sandwich that they're always talking about?
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
That sandwich?
Cheesesteak, yeah.
No, it's not a cheesecake. It's a
Not
real big
cheesesteak.
sandwich.
Cheesesteak.
Oh, cheese
Yes.
steak. I
Like
thought you were
some
talking about cheesecake.
cheesesteak.
Oh, well,
No, cheesecake.
You'll have to
So then what's the difference
enunciate.
between
There's
Cheese Whiz
there's
and
no garlic on
Velveeta?
their cheesecake though. What?
What's the difference between Cheese Whiz and Velveeta?
Well, Velveeta
Is it a brick?
is frequently comes in a brick and can be sliced. Cheese Whiz comes in a jar and you flip it
okay.
out.
Flip it,
you know?
yeah.
There is no solid version of Cheese Whiz. It's,
Cheese whiz. Yeah.
anyway, Garlic was so ubiquitous down there that the first two nice formal sit-down dinners, well, one of them was
See, the people
actually a
in my
strolling one.
place where I am would say to me, "What's ubiquitous?" Could you give us a little?
Ubiquitous means occurring everywhere, prevalent, very common.
Very common. Yes, good.
It's like
Like you and I, would you say?
fruit flies in the summer.
Okay.
Good, you got it.
And now I've forgotten what was ubiquitous. Anyway, garlic was so ubiquitous down there that my first two meals ended up being a plate of dry salad.
Oh,
That was the best they could do. That's all they could find,
That had no garlic on it.
the caterer could find that had no garlic on it.
Are you allergic to it?
I'm allergic to
That's what
it.
I thought,
I'm
okay.
called the ambulance allergic to it.
what
So,
about an onion? He must have had some onions. That
I love onions, no
Yeah,
problem.
well, he probably had those you could have had without the garlic on them.
No, but everything else he said they make with garlic.
Well, also, this very nice young lady tried to do something for me, so she
Assuage.
came and brought me a little cup of olive oil. Well, that was nice. I said, any chance you could find some vinegar
To go
put on the
with
thing?
this, yeah, oh.
And the best she could do, took her quite a while, the best she could do was a little cup of lemon juice.
Oh, that's all right.
Olive oil and lemon juice makes a fairly nice salad
right.
dressing.
Yeah, it is.
Particularly when your whole dinner is just rabbit food.
Yeah.
You know, it always happens. He goes to these places. And,
Well, I had to admit that if I didn't eat for a week, it wouldn't hurt me. So it'd be sick.
all right.
Anyway, did I say this is the May 13th edition? I forget
did.
whether
Yes,
I
you
did or I
did.
didn't.
Okay.
And we should note in passing, so who did we lose recently?
Peggy Lipton from the Mod Squad.
Yes, who was surprised me by finding out she was 72.
Yeah.
Made me feel old.
Of the three of them, she was the youngest one.
Okay.
And Doris Day. Que sera, sera.
Doris Day.
Day.
My first ever celebrity crush. Of course,
Well, I
I
liked
was
her
7 or
too.
8 at the
Yes.
time.
Boy,
But
could she sing.
she starred in a movie called Calamity Jane.
Jane. Oh, yeah.
And,
That's
and it was a musical western.
Yeah.
Not quite like the Roy Rogers ones.
No.
or, in any case. So those are the people who decided that they couldn't stand Donald Trump anymore and left the world. And speaking about our esteemed leader,
What's he so excited about the Ukraine for, President?
when is he excited about Ukraine?
I don't know. He's sending people off to the Ukraine to find out some information. He said,
Boy, have you been reading page 72? He's trying to provoke a war with Iraq. I know that. He's trying to provoke a war with China. I know that. He might conceivably be justified in objecting to his friend Putin eating up territory in the Ukraine.
No.
But I haven't heard about it.
Joe, the candidate for president,
Oh, you
Joe
mean
Biden?
you mean Vice
Biden.
President Biden?
former vice president.
He's
He
got
had
great
a-
name recognition.
Yeah.
This
He
guy.
had a son, or has a son, named Hunter.
Okay.
Hunter was a member of
This is the one who
these-
didn't die?
He didn't die, but
Okay.
he was a member of this board, business company in Ukraine. So they want to find out what this is all about.
This is so ridiculous. You know what this is? This is because all his lieutenants have been indicted for their illegal activities in Ukraine. And we know that he's subject. We know that his baby boy is going to go to prison over the Ukraine. And so this is the way his mind works, right? It's called you get too close to the truth on him. What's the first thing he says? Why aren't you investigating Hillary?
Lock her up.
You know?
That's the next thing.
Obviously, this must be the feedback. If my little boy's going
It
to
is.
jail for illegal activities in Ukraine, let's see if somebody else we can point a finger at.
So his lawyer said, "No, I can't do this. I have to come back." His lawyer is coming back.
Whose lawyer?
Trump's lawyer, the clown from who was the mayor of New York City.
Oh, Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, he was there. He said, "I'm not going to look into this." That's what they
How
want.
can the bar possibly not
This-
have pulled
Yeah.
their credentials on Rudy Giuliani?
Because he makes them laugh. Yeah, I think.
I don't think the Bar Association wants to be laughed at, do they?
Well, the president's lawyer is fun to laugh at him. Why not? You don't agree?
No, I think if that's their attitude, they clearly should go out of business. You know. Now, for example,
He's got a lot of business.
why is Steve Mnuchin not in handcuffs? I'm serious.
I know.
Why is Steve Mnuchin not in handcuffs? It turns out that we don't have
Handcuffs.
an adequate division of power in this country.
No.
Because when you come right down to it, the people who should be arrested, like William Barr and Steve Mnuchin and et cetera, I mean, clearly they're guilty. And the best that Congress could probably do is send their sergeant at arms over,
Well, they can
who's
find him.
probably
Wait a minute.
82.
Yeah.
Wait now. This fellow who's the head of the Intelligence Committee out in
an
Washington, he says we can fine them $25,000. It's history.
$25,000 a day. I
A
hope.
day.
But they won't be able to collect it. What are they? Who's they going to send to collect it? The sergeant at arms?
That would be good.
I mean, the thing is, we didn't realize that the Congress of the United States needed its own police force and military in order to protect the citizens of the United States against corrupt people who took over the executive office.
Well, they do have the Secret Service.
The Congress doesn't. The president
Yeah,
does.
but those guys are there. But what about for our friend who's the Speaker of the House? She has to be guarded by them. She's the third person in line to
It
be.
doesn't mean that she can send them to arrest Steve Mnuchin. I don't know what you're laughing about.
Well, the
You're
whole-
laughing at our democracy falling apart in front of our face.
It's not.
It's
that-
amusing.
It's amusing. Yes.
It's amusing.
Okay.
That's because you and I aren't going to be around that long. That's what it's
Keep it
amusing.
up. I'm going to come over there with a bat.
Come over here with a bat.
Well, did you see with the young man who was fighting for people's rights not to get vaccinated? Got the chicken pox?
The who?
He got the chicken pox.
Some kid who was, an anti-vaccination
Yeah.
person. It was interesting. What when upstate New York? Where was it? They said, okay, kids who aren't vaccinated can't come to school until
Yeah, I thought that was-
future
That's a good
future
idea.
notice.
I think. So.
Anyway, so Donnie, with his great negotiating skills, has put us in a position with China where the market is falling like a stone, and their negotiations now twice have lasted less than an hour, and yet he thinks he's winning. And the way he proposes to limit the personal damage from this, since one of the first and most violent losers in this will be American farmers,
Poor people.
his solution is that he's simply going to appropriate billions of dollars. He says we're going to take the best year of sales to China and we're going to find that money and give it to our noble farmers.
Very good.
In other words, he's going to buy these people off in
Yeah.
front of an election. So not only is he destroying our economy, he also said, our economy's big and strong and theirs isn't. Well, the fact of the matter is, they don't need us.
No.
If he makes them mad enough, they just might say, we're suspending trade with the United States for 6 months.
Think of all the Chinese billionaires who are buying up property in this country. What'll happen then? The real estate market.
Still
Well, that's
on it.
really funny. Remember when it was the Japanese buying Hawaii?
Yes.
Well, I don't think the same thing will happen, but you remember when the Japanese were buying Hawaii?
Yes. And a lot of
And then their economy tanked,
tanks. Yeah.
and they had to sell at a loss
Well, that's
to,
not bad either. That's,
to live on them.
yeah.
We got this company called Uber.
And Lyft. Yeah.
they're in a lot of trouble, and they've got an IPO scheduled. And of course, all this bad news about them is driving the prospects of their IPO down.
Yeah, they
And-
dropped down. They didn't get what they
And
thought.
this is what is that? Initial
Initial
IP.
purchase offer.
purchase option. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Very
I
good,
turned to
sir.
my financial advisor for that
Good,
question.
he's good.
Anyway, they're very concerned. So their head guy has been going out saying, you know, I still think that our IPO is going to be the next Facebook. We'll be the next Facebook. Oh God. Anyway, but
You have to
on
stop.
top of all the people who've been killed
Yes.
on these things is the fact that they've got this case here now where a guy was in an Uber, and the Uber driver pulls over to let him out, and he opens the door, and a bicycle runs into it.
All right.
And they're injured and stuff, and now the bicyclist is suing Uber, and they're suing the driver, and suing this guy
Doing the passenger.
for opening the door.
When the bicycle.
And quite frankly, I don't care if it's your car or an Uber or a taxi cab, you ought to be smart enough to look before you open the door.
Yeah, but they're all.
The point is, Uber is now claiming that he's not covered by their insurance, he's on their own.
Yeah.
Even though in this state they're required to carry $1 million liability, but they're adamantly saying, nope, you're not covered in our policy.
Well,
So
All right.
that's another
that.
thing that makes them look good.
We'll
And
come
now
back.
Michael wants me to tell you that tonight's Big TV Unrehearsed Thespian Society's presentation, which comes from a mid-level of the vault, it comes from 2012.
no, it's,
Is
I
going to
changed
be-
that date. It was.
It was
for
before
you.
that?
It was earlier, but because of you, I changed.
You
the
wanted
date.
to update it?
Yes.
Okay. In any case,
All right. Invade.
I don't know. The segues have thrown me
Yeah.
today.
I know.
This is going to be another experiment in the absolute veracity of the statement of the Unrehearsed Thespian Society. None of us have read more than 3 lines of this, so this is going to be what we like to call a cold reading.
Cold
And it is named Invaded.
Okay.
It's over, right?
Action.
No.
It's over.
It's over, right, was the first line.
Oh,
That's where
okay.
we begin.
Mostly.
We call action before the
Yeah.
first line.
Oh, that was the second line. Action.
Oh, not on my copy.
All right. Mostly.
Well, let's start from the top,
Go
okay?
ahead. We'll start again.
Say action.
No, action.
It's over, right?
It's over. Mostly.
Okay, yours has more words in it than mine.
Okay.
I mean, mine has, it says in May or in January. That's what you're supposed to be saying. If you say so.
Well, mine doesn't have that.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we had the graduation festival yesterday.
I'm still recovering.
It's safe outside, I think.
Been bad for days.
Oh, compare it to last year.
I just get tired of it.
Merchants and realtors are ecstatic.
Lots of rental trucks, SUVs, vans, cars.
And
Aside
all
to
of-
the audience, we're talking about moving day in the colleges.
And double parks.
It's only for a few days, Mike.
Grin and bear it.
Blocked driveways.
Loud, noisy, laughing,
We live here now is the line.
daring us to come out of our house.
Why do we put up with it?
It's America.
Colleges
Colleges.
need more dorms
They already own more land,
It's about big donors.
and bigger endowments.
higher tuition and fees.
The parents will be broke after 4 years.
Besides,
Having broken backs from lifting.
But it's good for the local economy.
what about my life?
You're old.
Thanks.
So,
I don't count.
not like all the new tenants in every flat.
There are town laws.
Well, what about the post office deliveries?
Aren't dorm rooms cheaper, cleaner, and safer?
Independence is important.
No prying eyes.
You mean no supervision?
Maybe a big deck or back porch,
Perfect for parties.
Yeah.
but not for the neighbors.
Ooh, boy. But we get up early for work.
And youngsters for school.
It's totally unreasonable.
The police
Come.
come after 11.
And they tag day and night.
The overflowing trash.
Skateboards and footballs and street basketball.
My worst nightmare come true.
What happened to our privacy?
It's about living in the city.
Kids practicing instruments.
And there's cigarette butts everywhere.
Loud
Corner.
fights and battles out there. Late.
Sure, blame it on the kids.
And there's profanity.
Urinating on shrubs in front of my house like dogs.
And street people tearing into our rubbish bags.
Or emptying barrels.
You left out the furniture.
No, they left it out all the time.
You know, it's supposed to be
Should-
new.
Old out, new in, every year.
Should we move?
To where?
In this blighted landscape,
We're doomed.
Crowded bars and restaurants.
then there's that local frat house.
I thought they were here to study.
And learn.
Libraries?
Now, clothing stores and discounts.
Rock concerts.
And good films, local theater.
Loud conversations on porches.
Just try sleeping during a cake party.
College community services?
Parental warnings and fines.
Suspension threats.
Visit the supermarket. Long lines.
Destroying neighborhoods.
And criticism generates vandalism.
Defacing fences, breaking windows.
Scratching paint on cars.
Nasty phone calls, endless.
But I love my home.
It's what? If it's war they want.
They're not driving us out.
Easy. Remember your heart.
Time for a little vigilantism.
Condo owners sublet.
But we're in it for the long haul.
Barricades, stockades.
Off, but we're sticking. We'll win.
It's our space, too.
Why it's unsafe for animals.
And don't forget the outdoor barbecues.
Indoors.
Isn't that dangerous?
It sure is. Just ask the fire department.
The kids' creed. We live here too.
So individuals temporize.
Hoping friendly words will help.
By God, we have rights too.
Yeah, and we were here first.
Romney's family came from Mexico.
Is that called improvisation?
I hope it'll be over by tomorrow.
Okay.
You missed that line.
But you get some respite from holidays.
If they go home,
And it's only temporary.
So hostilities renew on their return.
Disturbing the peace. It's a new folk song.
The problem is perpetual.
as long as owners and agents are indifferent,
So what's the solution?
just raise taxes, right?
Oh, I don't know, not in
Joe,
my
you're
script,
next.
but that's
Why
all right.
does it?
Why does it have to be a tragic event?
Good intentions are not enough.
Okay.
That's Joe.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. This woman planted a grapevine in 1910.
It's still alive and growing.
And everyone eats grapes.
It doesn't take much care.
Just to live and grow.
It's all about a little peace and sleep.
Amen.
All right, so that's what happens when you do an absolute cold reading.
And you have scripts that
And-
have different things written
Boy,
in
am I
different.
going to hear about this
and
tomorrow.
each script has written in lines that
Got
aren't
it.
on the other scripts, which can kind of trip you up.
But that's the fun of it.
That's the fun of it. That's why we did
Confusion.
it cold reading,
Cold reading.
So we could surprise people.
I got a
And the
headache.
other thing is,
Headache.
if we ever redo this,
Yes.
we'll redo it in September. It'll make more sense.
Yeah, but that's why it doesn't. It's not supposed to make sense. This is the fun show.
You keep telling me that. You keep telling me it's not supposed to make sense.
No.
You know, you should be a spokesman for the Trump administration.
Well, I'm thinking about it.
We have here, ladies and gentlemen, a work of literary merit focusing on alternative facts.
Yeah, there you go.
And it's very big in Alaska, you know, these kinds of plays.
In Alaska?
Yeah, they're like the
It's a
polar bears
specialty?
can read this stuff.
Is this in the land of the midnight sun?
Right, and the Inuits, they like something slow and easy to read in those igloos.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I understand that the Inuits are rather strong in defense of their culture. So,
Yes.
And I subscribe to that.
as in fact, they have this very, very interesting throat singing.
They
That-
also
that
wait
they
a minute.
do.
They also have that other habit in the wintertime, if it's cold enough, sending old folks like us out on an ice floe. You know,
That sounds like a good idea,
Yeah,
too.
especially after this. I was just going to say, I saw that on 60 Minutes 2 weeks ago.
Something
I
like
think it was
that,
in
yeah.
60 Minutes in the.
This woman with this very strange sounds that come out and
But
and
apparently
stuff.
she's bringing something back because I would do the throat thing and you would, you know, it's like we try to outdo each other.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
like a competition,
Yeah.
but then.
I would take.
Well, if I understood the thing was
They don't-
the game is to start and you have to very quickly do what I did
Yeah.
and try to follow
Try
me.
to
And if you
replicate,
can't
yeah.
follow me, I win.
Yeah.
And if you can, you win.
It's like
and stuff.
what is it they said? It's like a staring game, you know, who can stare this person down.
But vocally.
Yeah.
But
and the weather has been bad. Would you say
it's been quite wet.
wet?
I
and
thi-
cold.
I think we may have snow tonight.
I hope so.
There's some place it is
You
going to have
hope
snow.
so.
Yeah, I got my skis outside. I'm gonna
Oh,
go.
you don't need a ride. You're going to ski home. Huh?
That's it. That's the idea.
Well-
But unusual weather.
We'll be set. Yes.
You want to say anything about the Harvard crowd?
I don't hear anything, expect to hear anything about a grant. Well, you tore this out for me. I was actually out of town, so I'm not up on this, and I
That's
had
why
no
I gave
chance.
It to him, yeah.
But there were apparently a couple of house deans, which in my day we called the house master,
Yes,
and I don't know if it's the same position,
it's
but
the same position.
pair of house deans at Winthrop House
which
who
I-
have been let go,
Yes,
and
and Ronald.
unfortunately, I don't have the details
I
here,
told you about Ronald
but
Sullivan.
unfortunately, they appear to have been the first African American couple who were masters
But-
of a house.
But Ronald
Okay.
Sullivan is
that the
now
same
the
as-
chief lawyer for
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvard Weinstein. What do you think of that, Susan?
What's there to think about it? It's just a random fact. Now the thing is,
Would
of
you
cou-
like?
there's the possibility that they were treated harshly because they were the first African American couple, and then there's the possibility that they're claiming that they were treated harshly, but will
playing the race
will
card.
in the long run probably be
Boomerang.
a few points against the appointment of the next African American couple.
Well,
But
the students were complaining about them.
Apparently,
Yeah, and they have minority students there.
since 2016, more than a dozen Winthrop students and staff have brought concerns to Harvard administrators,
There it is, concern.
suggesting they create a toxic climate in the house.
What is that?
And the funny thing is,
That's
did
poisonous.
they jump on this guy before or after he got involved with
They-
Weinstein?
Both. He was having problems before. They were both having.
Because now, of course, the Me Too movement is after him.
Yes.
So
Well-
that represents a bit of a problem. Anyway, folks, this is an in-depth discussion of an article that none of us have actually read.
I read it,
Oh, you read it?
Yes.
Okay.
but you wanted to explain it. Okay.
I wanted to explain it having not read it at
Right.
all.
That's
What
like
the
our
thing was.
play. Sure.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for coming in with us this evening. We will not be here for the next 2 weeks.
They were all heaving.
Next week, I won't be here because I am giving out the Fred Graham Excellence in Teaching Award next week, I'm happy to say. And the next week after that is Memorial Day. And so you have a 2-week hiatus, after which we'll be back. And I fondly hope that you will be too. So good night.
Good night. Good night.